And also to speak briefly about the importance of certain, not elements perhaps, but what is really truly important when it comes to execution of a 3D character, execution of a 3D creature. I would argue here, as I've done previously, is it's not about your knowledge of anatomy. It's about how you treat the surface and what you put onto the surface or inside of the surface, right? And in my view, you are much better off by not so much studying, because it's I'm not even sure how to approach this, because it's also beyond the scope of this lecture, but it's developing a sense, a taste for not just form but also proportions and also the silhouettes. And so in this case, and this is a luckily a good example where the shape or I guess the position of the muscle is almost more important than than the correct execution of the muscle itself. So it doesn't really matter if you are creating this, if you make some kind of a mistake in here when it comes to anatomy. Maybe let's try not make mistakes, right? That's kind of a good thing to say. But what I'm trying to get to is that the position of this muscle, the silhouette that we do see here, right? The proportions that it creates for the leg, right? This kind of a beautiful shape, it's crucial. It's something that will create interest on your characters. It's not going to be the amount of striations that you put in here. It's going to be the slight things that you do with the muscles, with the surface, to create a beautiful shapes like that, right? So definitely also study, if not study, but observe certain things, how everything is flowing, and try to develop. And I don't really know how. It's kind of, I wish I could speak a little bit more about it, but I think it's more about observing a lot, right? Trying to find as much reference as you can. But it's about the silhouette. It's about what you do with the surface. It's about how you move, right? This compare to this, right? This is ugly. This is not ugly. If you move it a little bit lower, or maybe if you can just move it all the way here like that, this is way more interesting, right, than this one. Even though this might be anatomically correct completely, you might create all the veins in here, all the smaller details in there, all the pores in here, but if your surface, if the silhouette is so bland and so kind of boring, it's not going to do anything for you. So in this case also, it's not about the knowledge of anatomy. It's about what's really important. How do you make a character stand out? What is it about it? Is it the amount of bumps that the character has, right? Is it the amount of the musculature that you put in there, the amount of striations that you put in there, or is it about a certain smaller maybe things, the angularity of certain things, the maybe the kind of how things are kind of connecting to one another. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's the cleanliness of the surface, right? That will make the character more interesting, way more interesting than all the right construction within, all the right bone structure and all of those things, right? It's in the end, or at the end of the day, I would say that this is more important, right? This is going to be the thing that also will make you stand out, because everybody can study anatomy, everybody can be good at anatomy, maybe not everybody can be expert, but probably just will take a much longer time, but everybody can get good at this, right? And everybody can definitely copy things and get really, really good at it. But it's, if everybody can do that, there is no way for to choose who is in some sense better than the other. And it is, at the end of the day, a competition. When you're going to be working in the industry or trying to get in the industry, it's going to be a competition. It's just no way around it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the nature of things, right? And so it's not going to be about your anatomy knowledge. It's not going to be about you during the interview saying Latin names in which nobody is really interested in. It's about you being able to create something really, on the one hand, interesting, standing out, but not to the point where it's standing out because it's this, right? It's standing out because it's exceptionally well done, exceptionally well constructed, and there is definitely something that is very pleasing, and something perhaps of your own, something that you've developed, something that you've perhaps observed, and then you have decided that this is something that you would really like your characters to look like, your creatures to look like, and maybe even those kind of things will inspire people who take the interview or people you work with, and maybe they will ask you to not necessarily develop the style, but maybe they will be so inspired that the style of the game, the style of the characters, the way they execute the characters, the whole team is going to be basing this on what you've yourself developed. And I do have this kind of experience, and it's very gratifying, it's very humbling, this kind of experience, right? But it's about not the knowledge of the anatomy. It's about those other things, right, that are based only in real life, only through observation. And for this, also 3D scans are very good, and I would also recommend one little application. And it's also from the same website. I'm going to be providing links to that, and here I would just go with this one. It's called Mail. Well, I'm going to be providing the information later in the final notes. If you enjoy this content or find it useful, please consider supporting me by buying me a cup of coffee via the link in the description. But the reason why I would recommend using this is because first of all, it's just a very, very good anatomy, well, not anatomy, surface reference. You can see everything, and it's a very beautiful body that this person has. It's he's in the older age, right? In his older years, but the body is just very beautiful, and we can see a lot in here. But to me, the beautiful thing about it, it's not just the surface itself, it's the proportions that the person has. It's about the position of the legs, the kind of the bend that they do have in here, right? They're not just straight. It's the proportions between the upper part, right? You can almost see here an egg shape, or like a shell of a turtle, right? I mean, if we simplify it, it is here, right? And then compared to relatively narrow waist and thighs, right? This whole area in here. So it's just a beautifully beautiful shape, I would say, of the body. So it's for that, it's very also good example to study. But at the same time, then this goes back to the complexity that we were talking about. Be cautious what you see. For example, this leg in here, right? You see just how much is going on compared to here, and he is standing, right? Just like with the other scan, there's nothing to indicate for this kind of situation to occur, right? He's just standing in a relatively relaxed pose, but the whole surface in here is completely different from here, and the complexity is here is even beyond beyond my knowledge, I would argue. I mean, I can definitely make out the muscles, but they are so unique that it's from the first glance, it's almost like, okay, what is really taking place in here? So be cautious, right? To get back, simplicity versus complexity, in this case definitely working out better, but it's also good reference because there are different poses, and this is for studying the surface, right? This is for studying certain not muscles, but how the surface changes, and sometimes you would want to emphasize some of those muscles, even if he's standing in a T-pose. If the character that you're making, or creature that you're making, that is standing in a just a T-pose, it's good nonetheless to study some of this. And if I go back perhaps to here, right, sometimes we just want to indicate maybe a little bit more of this, even though we can see that on this muscle on any feline animal or dog animal. It's still something that we can see here and also utilize, right, on our characters, on our creatures, even if they are in a T-pose, in a kind of standard pose. So everything here is beautiful. Everything is here worth looking into. So the shapes in here, right? The lines, the line work in here, the elegance of it, right? It's beautiful. So, and you can change the light, you can change the presets. You can change everything in here. It's just a wonderful resource. And look at the complexity again, going back to what really matters and versus what really is taking place. Here the complexity makes sense because of the bending of the leg. This would not make any sense if you're going to represent that on your character that is standing in a T-pose. It will make absolutely no sense. That will be, if anything, will just make the model looking weird, right? So again, compared to what is happening on this side. And you can rotate obviously the light, and you can see it from different angles, and this way you can have a better observation of the shapes of the silhouettes. So wonderful resource, not just for studying the shapes, not for studying the surfaces, but also for studying the beautiful proportions, right? The beautiful silhouette. So this is just maybe it's strange that I say it, but this is just absolutely stunning. It's to me just pure beauty. It's just so wonderful to see those kind of shapes, right? Very beautiful. And if you can do that, if you can study this, and you can take some of this, something that you've memorized, something that kind of clicked with you, evoked something in you, and if you can put that on into your model, you will immediately get a way better result. And I'm not trying to make fun of the model. I'm not trying to make fun of the artist who made this. This is a free model that I found, I think, on cgtrader.com. So it's free of charge. The license should be good. And like I said, I'm not here to make fun of this. I'm just trying to illustrate you that maybe, not in this case, but maybe the anatomy of the model is correct. Everything is kind of working. There are biceps, there are triceps, there are muscles, there are bones, right? So maybe it's actually looking accurate. But if it's so stiff, if everything when it comes to the silhouette is just pears and apples and bananas, and they all not growing into one another, but instead they're kind of attaching strangely into one another, right? This is worse than the lack of anatomy knowledge. To me, the problem with this model, it's not with the surface, or not with the surface, it's not with the muscles, right? I don't really care. When I look at this, honestly, I don't really care whether this is done correctly, whether there's something is missing in here, whether there should be more striations in here. I don't really care whether the scapula is somewhere here. Is it correct or not? Maybe something. It's not about that. Here, the whole thing that is destroying, in my opinion, otherwise a model that otherwise could have been way more interesting, even though it's let's say it's unique by any standard. This is unique. What really is holding this model back is not the lack of anatomy, it's the lack of the very thing that I was just talking about. It's the lack of surface connecting better, instead of having those kind of eggs and fruits, right? It should be, well, more streamlined, right? Something a little bit more interesting. Right? So doing things of this nature, right? Again, studying the surface, studying the silhouettes, using the tools that I've just mentioned. So that would be the problem with this model. That would be the problem with so many other models that we do see in film and video games everywhere. I mean, it's not like some kind of a disease, not for sure it's not. I'm just saying that, and this is an extreme example, right? But I would just say it one more time, that it's not about anatomy as such when it comes to end result or end goal. It's about how everything is looking, when what kind of feeling it evokes, and what kind of things you can do with the surface through your observation and through your practice and through your studying of the things that really matter.